Max Fish Camp is the last traditional mom and pop outpost in South Florida. My family's owned and operated this place for 5 generations. The Gladesmen have utilized Max Fish Camp for 75 plus years as a place to come as a gathering point and also as an outpost where they would venture further off into the Everglades from here. Max Fish Camp it's my heritage. I'm raising my children to know and understand the lay of the land and also how to be conservationists. It's important as Gladesmen that we understand the landscape, that we understand the wildlife here, and that we respect Mother Nature and learn how to coexist and give back. As a Gladesman, my family, we rely on a lot of the small game for our sustenance. We eat marsh rabbits. We've grown up eating raccoons and possums. To see them in the last decade, to see the population of the small game in the Everglades be just completely emaciated, it throws up great alarm to the great concern to the fact that we have an invasive exotic here, such as the Burmese python, that may be the major contributing factor to the decimation of small game.
This is the animal we're talking about. This is the Indian python. It's one of the largest snakes in the world. They can approach 20 feet, weigh 200 to 300 pounds maximum. They're found over all of southern Asia, and in their native range, they're large enough to eat full-grown deer of several species. One subspecies of this python, called the Burmese python, has been a mainstay of the exotic pet trade in the United States for decades. If you had told me 10 years ago some of the things that we have found, I wouldn't have believed you. And the reason I wouldn't have believed you is because I just didn't think it could happen. We've seen declines in across the board mammal species that were once extremely common in Everglades National Park, and these species have declined by over 90% in many cases, and some 99%. And all the evidence shows that it's primarily due to python predation.
Yeah, the challenge that we're facing with invasive species like the Burmese python is extreme. And one of the real challenges that we face in dealing with it is resources. We have a limited amount of resource. And in comparison, especially to the resource that's at risk. In the Everglades, we have spent $8 billion to restore the Everglades ecosystem, and we'll spend more in the days ahead. Yet we're only spending about $6 million on the control of the Burmese python.
There are 21 World Heritage Sites in the United States. We are the only site that's on the World Heritage in danger list.
Well, actually, the python is the biggest threat to the food chain that I've ever seen.
When you're developing a program of response to a problem, the basic ingredients you need before you can decide how much money to throw at it is how big is the problem, what are the potential solutions to the problem, and how much do those solutions cost. And we don't have the answers for pythons. We don't have the answers to some of those basic questions.
The numbers of wildlife here in the Everglades over the last 15 years or so have declined so much that it makes it difficult when I take my children out for a sightseeing trip to show them otters and bobcats, raccoons and possums, foxes. Armadillos are almost non-existent anymore. The Burmese python and the other large constrictors that now call the Everglades home are a large contributor to the decimation of the population of small game here in the Everglades. If the problem of the large constrictors in the Everglades is not addressed very soon, the Everglades as we know it may not exist for much longer as far as the wildlife is concerned.